Yes.
Oh no.
Yeah, that's why he was late.
That's why you were late.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh gosh.
My name is Han.
Nice to meet you, Han.
Nice to meet you
Yeah.
as well.
And your name comes from?
Ireland.
Ireland.
Gaelic name.
Sure, like, yes,
Yes.
of course. And Eva,
Yes.
she also has this beautiful written name.
Yes.
Yeah, so
It
It's
makes
always
no
like-
sense.
It doesn't make sense. I know it doesn't make sense.
No, but it's nice.
They make up their own way of spelling.
Yeah, they do.
Michelle,
It's the
Good
old
morning.
language. Right?
good morning as well.
And you know,
Old language. Yes, I like that.
just bread.
Tom, je sloffen zijn hier.
Sloffies. Ah, lekker, ik heb hem ook hoor. Kijk maar eens. Oh, zustermaten.
Lekker.
We are up and running.
You know,
Ja, het is zeker niet waar moeilijk.
I think the two of us will need some help to get access to this material that we put on this site. You too, I guess. Yeah, exactly. She doesn't, you know, there's no record, so
This the zone.
yeah.
What is it?
I don't know
Okay.
where the site is. You have to show me. Sorry. Because and then I also have another problem. I didn't know. Well, not now. Not now. Yeah.
It's not. It'll.
I thought so. I asked you too because last year I think you're far off. You don't even see what you don't.
Need to get out before she arrives.
You have to get out before she arrives?
Yes.
Oh, good. Ik heb geen gebedenboekje. Maar wel een telefoon. Ik heb wel een telefoon waar het op staat.
Wie gaat daarvoor?
Hè?
Die ging hiervoor.
Oh, oké. Mag ik straks een halve snicker van jou? Ik heb er geen één gekregen.
Jawel toch? Nou, ik heb twee.
Nee? Oh,
Oh, thank you.
Maybe joke. As you know, something going as fast as a ball of silk bounce back from the floor. I don't know that ball of silk would bounce off the floor and oh, wow. So that I didn't really. If it does what is instantly sweet, having suffered no more than the time it takes for a ball of silk to bounce back from the floor. It's an example of what it's as fast as a ball bouncing of silk, but it doesn't bounce, no?
Maybe it does. Who knows? I've never seen a bowl.
That's alright. Of silk.
I don't think I've ever seen a bowl. Does it mean like a yarn? Like a
Yeah, something of silk. When I cannot think that it would bounce. But it does not. If you make an example, then you take an example of something that goes really fast, like rubber, it goes very fast. A yarn of silk. It doesn't matter. Anyway, I'm convinced anyway of what it is. That sounds actually very strenuous to me and very, I really don't like it. Oh yeah, no, I mean,
Yes, it's on here.
expecting you.
No, I
you
thought
tell
we
us.
were.
I just saw all the top chat saying she's going, you're going, you do have the impairment, she does have the impairment.
I do.
Oh, yes.
I'm fully qualified for over there.
But you,
But I made
but
that announcement
of
just
your
in
own
case.
decision, okay.
Well,
You prefer.
at this moment in time, my heart,
Yes,
I'm
yes.
listening to my
Oh.
heart.
Okay, well, beautiful, I love it. Let's fix you up a seat quickly before the High Chieftain comes.
Yes, but
Yeah.
we
We need to move some of these forward maybe a little bit. Let's move this back a little bit, and then you can come in.
In the middle. I'm happy to go into the.
Oh, do you need a big table?
No, I like the floor. I'm going to give it a try. I mean, it's been a while since I
And you
sat.
would, so we could.
Move that forward.
Forward.
Yeah. Yeah, it's going to be a bit, it'll be
Yeah,
first
good,
time.
and we can leave because there is a shirt, so
Yeah.
just like that.
Yeah, where's a nice cushion?
Should have come earlier and done it.
Oh, yeah.
I'm not doing it. So bear with me. I'm a bit.
Maybe this coming a bit fine now, but
I need.
No, I can give you.
I need.
actually you can have mine as well. You can
That'll
have
do me fine, actually, Walter. I just don't know.
okay.
Example.
Perfect. No, this is good.
Yes, but
This is actually sure.
We've got a newcomer to the class.
Wonderful.
Fiona, could you distribute, please? Actually, that's one. So this is a revised edition, so we're going with the new version.
Anyone else have a revised edition of the grant?
I just hold on to them maybe. Good morning. So for those of us here in the room, we have a revised edition of our prayer booklet. And the revised part is the the long life prayers at the end that we may on occasion do. But our beginning prayers, our dedication prayers, they're staying the same, except now we need to deal with different page numbers, but I think we can handle that.
Oh my God.
So beginning on page 10. Yes.
We did Tibetan last time.
We did Tibetan last time? Good. All right. English. In the Buddha, Dharma, and the Supreme Assembly, I take refuge until I attain enlightenment. Through the merit of practicing generosity and the rest, may I attain Buddhahood for the benefit of all beings. In the Buddha, Dharma, and the Supreme Assembly, I take refuge until I attain enlightenment. Through the merit of practicing generosity and the rest, may I attain Buddhahood for the benefit of all beings. In the Buddha, Dharma, and the Supreme Assembly, I take refuge until I attain enlightenment. Through the merit of practicing generosity and the rest, may I attain Buddhahood for the benefit of all beings. By the power and the truth of this practice, may all sentient beings enjoy happiness and the causes of happiness, be free from suffering and the causes of suffering. May they never be separated from the great happiness devoid of suffering, and may they dwell in the great equanimity that is free from attachment and aversion. O precious and sublime bodhicitta, may it arise in those at whom it has not arisen. May it never decline where it has arisen, but go on increasing further and further. So we continue with the praise to Manjushri, which is now on page 33. Homage to the Guru and Lord Manjushri, our protector. Your wisdom is brilliant and pure like the sun, free from the clouds of the two obscurations. You perceive the whole of reality exactly as it is, and so hold the book of transcendental wisdom at your heart. You look upon all beings imprisoned within samsara, enshrouded by the thick darkness of ignorance and tormented by suffering, with the love of a mother for her only child. Your enlightened speech endowed with 60 melodious tones, like a thundering roar of a dragon, awakens us from the sleep of destructive emotions and frees us from the chains of karma. Dispelling the darkness of ignorance, you wield the sword of wisdom to cut through all our suffering. Pure from the very beginning, you have reached the end of the 10 bhumis and perfected all enlightened qualities. Foremost of the Buddha's heirs, your body is adorned with 112 marks of enlightenment. To Manjughosha, the gentle voice, I prostrate and pray, dispel the darkness from my mind. Prayer to Longchenpa, page 38. The 6 ornaments and the 2 supreme ones beautify this world of ours. In the depth of your compassion, learning and realization, you are their equal. Yet as a hidden yogi, Longchenpa, you practice in forest retreats and perfect samsara and nirvana as dharmakaya. Dreamer says, stainless light, at your feet I pray. Grant your blessings so I may realize the natural state, the true nature of mind. Through the blessings of the useful Manjushri, the union of awareness and emptiness, you release the 8 brilliant treasures. Observe an ocean of treasure-like teachings of the Dharma in both aspects, transmission and realization. To you, Mipam Rinpoche, Manjushri in person, I pray. The fire of your great love burns up the dry wood of hate. The light of your wisdom dispels the darkness of ignorance. Dharma regent, protector of all living beings, who dwells in the Tushita heaven, to you I pay homage. Om Marapatsana 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 Amma Patsana Di. With all of your kindness and love, let your wisdom shining light clear the darkness of my ignorance once and for all. Grant me, I pray, the intelligence, the brilliance to understand the scriptures, the words of the Buddha and works of the masters. And when I wish to look upon you or ask of you anything at all, Lord and Protector Manjushri, let me see you without any hindrance. To the one who is the essence of the Buddha says 3 times you offer this of Lord, Dios mío, so good and with kindness is so much I pray to you to your feet in great respect of please hold me with your compassion and blessing. Samanda Bada Vaja Satvagara Bloji Manjushi Mitushi Singha Vimala Mijuchana Sutra Padmasamans. Guru Miji Yeshit Soda Vitis and I pray to you. Treasury is all the Lama to the comment, I pray to you. Just like the 6 ornaments and beautiful, where you can master of compassion and beautiful sin in forest and so forth. Long champa perfecta samsara never understood. Tremor sustain is at your feet in the source of love. You are the animation of long champa, you have to treasure of Mount Remus, sky like you, universe, Jing meeting by your feet, I pray. Compassionate divination of the Lord, Lord, about your most excellent guide, leading things in. Yogin of the vast expanse, benefiting only, Jimmy Gavino, outward your body settles on you, inwardly, secret is of being of liberation, so Jimmy Chigavon for your to the blessing of the universe. You release save meditation, master of an ocean treasure teaching, dominant aspects translation, to you, me, parameter, magician, personality. In the attenuation of the 1,000-word elders, word demons, please come forth. In the language of the gods, Nagas, harmless, may I teach the Dharma to each being in whatever language they understand. So I hope you all had a good weekend, and very nice to see a full shrine room with some extra manifestations. All right, so let's see where we're at. For the sake of all sentient beings that have been extremely kind to us and who are as limitless as space is vast, please listen to the teachings having generated the motivation of sublime bodhicitta. And so it seems you guys decided that today is lion posture day, yes? So meaning we look back at what we covered so far. So last week we began with going through the preambles of the treatise, and then we actually went into the text itself already. We looked at these 4 points, right, that are so important when we're composing a treatise, or not we, like when anybody is composing a treatise. But actually these 4 are important for us no matter what we do, like whatever kind of task we set out to do, these 4 are said to be key, right? And they are paying homage at the beginning, then making a commitment to actually see the task through, so in this case composing the text. Then third is taking on this humility, right, this humble attitude, and then to combine that with this joyful, enthusiastic mind state. And it's said that if we have these 4, we're going to accomplish what we set out to do. And so then last week we also saw how the teaching that we're studying can be divided into different sections according to the bodhicitta prayer that we just recited, right? So, precious and sublime bodhicitta, may it arise in those in whom it has not arisen. So this arousing of bodhicitta is connected to chapters 1, 2, and 3. So this is actually, it's important to remember that, because it shows us what we're trying to accomplish with that first chapter. Why are we hearing about these, the excellence, the benefits of bodhicitta? So that we can arouse it in ourselves. That's the whole point. So then, to protect bodhicitta from declining, we're going to study chapters 4, 5, and 6. And then to make it increase further and further, 7, 8, and 9. And then we conclude with a dedication. And so at the moment we are within the first chapter, right? Excellence, benefits of bodhicitta. And there we have 2 parts. the basis that is required for generating bodhicitta, and the benefits of bodhicitta. And the basis that is required, we already started with that. So we need a physical support. So we need this precious human birth. We need this body. And then we're going to see in a minute that we're also going to need a mental support. We need the mind. But just to say again, start getting familiar with the outline of what we're trying to do. You don't need to memorize it. If you like, brilliant exercise. It will benefit you 100%. But if you feel like, you'd rather just read it, but read it every day. Because it will, you probably know this, right? You probably heard this from Walter and Martina and the other review teachers. Like a subject, a structural outline, is the most essential form of a commentary. It actually shows us what's happening. And then if we understand what is happening and why it's happening, at least in my case, if I know why, I will understand it better. And if I understand it, there's a chance I will remember it. And if I remember it, I will be able to integrate it. And if I can integrate it, transformation will happen. No question. And with the transformation, our true nature, our Buddha nature will come out. So this is to say, get interested in the structure of the teaching, if you're not already. And so His Holiness the Dalai Lama actually makes one important point about the excellence and benefits of bodhicitta. He says, if we're trying to arouse bodhicitta in ourselves, it will not happen by simply praying for it to come about. It will also not come into existence by just understanding bodhicitta. So praying won't do the job, understanding it won't do the job. The only way to really generate bodhicitta is to put some effort into meditating upon it. And in order to meditate upon it, we need to first of all understand, well, what's the benefits of bodhicitta? What's the merit of generating bodhicitta? What will it bring us? Only then will we have the necessary enthusiasm, the necessary interest and perseverance to get the job done. And this is why His Holiness says, Shantideva first explains the excellence and benefits of generating bodhicitta. So that's what we're doing. All right, any questions about what we did on Friday, if you still remember that? All right, Mathieu.
You were talking about the three different people with capacities.
Yeah.
Different capacities. And from what I understood on the first time was that, for example, Shantideva is a high capacity being, but is it also related to the familiarity we have with the text? For example, the fact that you have studied a lot, you know it all by heart, and we can say that all about that text you have a high capacity of it, or is it simply related to the processing power that you have with your existence?
Okay, let me just find the part where we talked about capacity. Can you say where it was, more or less?
That?
No. Oh, so this was the reasons for the title. Okay, good. So, sorry, to repeat the question, in the context of why a title is given, we had that there was beings of superior faculty or capacity, those of medium, and those of lower capacity. So highest is they hear the title, they read the title, completely understand the whole thing. Medium is they read the title and understand the essence of it. And lowest is they at least know to go to the back of the room, pick up the right text and bring it to us if we ask for it, right? So then the question is the capacity related to like having studied it?
Is it also related to the familiarity we have with it?
To the
Or
familiar.
is it simply like you are new life and then I tell you bodhicitta time, like, okay, good.
So is the capacity related to our familiarity with the text? Like, yeah. So I I think we mentioned this before, that when we speak about different types of faculties or different types of capacity, to not understand this as a fixed thing, like as a truth about us. So, you know, I'm lower capacity and that's it. For the rest of eternity, I'll just be lower capacity. No, right? It's something that we can work on and that we can improve. And I think, like you say, studying the teachings repeatedly, getting familiar with them, memorizing them, will improve our capacity. I think it's safe to say it can improve our capacity to the point that when we hear the title of the text, you know, bam, it's all there. I think that's definitely, you know, a possibility. I think it's not just related to our understanding, though, our capacity. I think it is maybe even more so related to what's going on in our hearts, in the sense of, like, if we can develop openness, if we can develop appreciation, respect for the teaching, that will actually, I think, enhance our capacity, maybe even more than accumulating understanding. You know, both will do something, but I think that heart level, is going to make a huge difference. So play with both, work on both in order to increase your capacity. Anything else? Yeah, Una.
Maybe 10 years ago, I gave
I like how this is starting.
I know.
10 years ago.
It might have been 10 years ago. But you gave like a really cool kind of like introduction to how to like remember stuff at
Yeah.
the Shedra.
Yeah.
And I found it really helpful, but it's been a very long time.
Yeah.
And I just remember that it was helpful. And I was wondering if you have any tips for, how to kind of remember the most important points from the teaching. Like, I don't know, how to take notes or anything that comes to mind.
Okay. So I was asked by the online people to repeat the questions because they can't quite hear you. So the question is, 10 years ago, apparently said something on what supports us in memorizing the text. So to repeat, Walter, you have that clip. Maybe you could, in the review session, give the...
Clip, yeah.
I don't know whether you want to play it or just say it, but
Sure.
I'm not going to be able to reproduce exactly what I said on that day. And it was a good day, so maybe go with that. But just to say, a couple of things that have helped me in really bringing the teaching into my mind and heart, right? One is the thing that we do at the beginning, which is pray. Like, really have this aspiration, this wish. May I be able to get it? And not just for myself, so that I'm able to share it with my friends, you know, so that we can inspire each other. And I find it quite a powerful tool. And maybe just to say, like, we pray to Manjushri, right? All the time. Who is he? Or like, what is his essence?
Youthful and intelligent.
Intelligent, yeah. Any other word that comes to mind when you hear Manjushri? Wisdom, right? So when we pray to Manjushri, what we actually should bring about in our minds, or what we should kind of bring out, is wisdom, is clarity. The clarity aspect of the nature of our own minds. So, like, bring out that feeling as you pray to him. And something will happen. I'm pretty sure. So that one. I actually can't remember what I said that year, but the other thing that really helped is just repetition. In different ways. I mean, you're very lucky in the sense that you have each other to review teachings together, to talk to each other. Sometimes I find that, you know, the real insights come outside of class, when we're having a little cup of tea together and we talk about the teachings. Have some fun with that. And then maybe, Walter, you can fill in the rest.
Okay.
Thank you. Right. Continue? Okay. Okay, sorry, maybe just one more thing to say. I noticed that as we're going through the commentary, there's parts that I'll be saying that you can find in the commentary itself, right? And then there's other things that I will be bringing in from other masters, like Ringo Turko Rinpoche, Tsonga Rinpoche, Tsika Kondro Rinpoche, which are not written in the book, right? And I think that may make your life a little bit difficult in terms of note-taking, or not, okay? But just, yeah?
It's enriching.
It's enriching, okay, good. If it's enriching, that's perfect. But I think what may be helpful for you guys, if you're not doing this already, really try to read ahead a couple of pages each day. So that when you come to class, in your mind it's clear what Khenpo Kumpal is saying, so you can pick out what is added. Yeah? Good. Okay, so Friday we were still with the physical support, speaking about the preciousness of our human body. And I just want to add a couple of points which are not in the commentary, but just to keep us, reflecting on that situation that we're in. And I think one way to look at the situation is if we look at the state of the world right now, like if you turn on the news for a minute, we're going to be seeing quite a bit of chaos, right? Violence, maybe, poverty, sickness. But here we are, sitting in a sunny room in Parping, or sitting at home behind a computer screen, but we have the opportunity to think about the teachings of the Buddha. And not just a little bit, we have a lot of time actually that we freed ourselves for. And we have time to think about this kind of precious mind of bodhicitta. So that in itself is almost like a miracle, right? It's a really precious opportunity. And it probably shows also that we must have accumulated already a great deal of merit just to make that happen. And so just let's make use of it, because it's easy to lose that situation. We could be breaking our wrists and then, things might be a little bit more challenging, right? So just appreciate it. And one thing that I thought was quite beautiful was Pema Chodron commenting on this particular section. And she says that as I've grown older with my Sangha brothers and sisters, I've seen many friends die or experience dramatic changes in their health and in their mental stability. So she says, right now, even though our lives may seem far from perfect, we have excellent circumstances. We have intelligence, we have the availability of teachers and teachings, and we have at least some inclination to study and practice. But she says some of us will die before this year is up. And in the next 5 years, some of us will be too sick or in too much pain to actually concentrate on the Buddhist teachings, let alone live them. She says others of us will become so distracted by worldly pursuits, maybe for the next 2, 10, 20 years, that we won't have the freedom to study and practice like this. So she says the Buddha tells us that our human birth is ideal. We have just the right balance of pleasure and pain, so we should absolutely not squander this good fortune. So how do we not squander our good fortune? This is what Sogyal Rinpoche explained quite beautifully once. He asked this question, well, what is our full human potential? He says our full human potential is to put an end to samsara. Right now, we can, not right now in this minute maybe, but actually right now we can finish all the stories of the past. We can conclude the stories of the future. We can realize omniscience for ourselves and others in the spirit of bodhicitta. He says that is the purpose of our lives. So if we don't make good use of that opportunity now, then how could we possibly expect to have such a chance again? Clear, right? And maybe just to add just one example of like how we could maybe work with this skillfully. I mean, we each need to find our own way to, reflect on this and work with it. But for me, actually, my grandmother helped me quite a bit with that. I remember this is a while ago. I was going over to see her on a Sunday, and we were going to have like brunch together. And she was not a Buddhist. She thought the word, like she considered spirituality to be a pretty bad thing, and she wanted to have nothing to do with it. But anyway, I was going over to see her on a Sunday. She was at that time maybe in her like mid-70s or something like that. And as I walked into the house, I heard her alarm clock going off in the bedroom still. And so I went into her bedroom and I switched it off, and I saw that she had set it to 7 o'clock. So I went to the kitchen and I said, Oma, what's the deal, It's a Sunday, you're retired. Why on earth do you have your alarm clock set for 7? And she explained to me that she does that every day. She says she sets the alarm clock, even though she doesn't have to get up. And then when it rings at 7 o'clock, she just wakes up, she checks that she's still alive, she rejoices for a moment and goes back to sleep. So it was like the most kind of beautiful kind of moment of appreciating what we've got, right? It's very precious. Okay, so we have a physical support, we have a precious human birth, we have a precious human body, but that in itself is not enough, right? We also need the mental support. And so this is bringing us to verse 5, where it says, just as on a dark night, black with clouds, the sudden lightning glares, and all it's clearly shown. Likewise, rarely, through the Buddha's power, virtuous thoughts rise, brief and, how do you say that word?
Transient.
Brief and transient in the world.
5.
You got it? Verse, no, not yet. Verse 5. Okay, so we need the physical support, we need the body, we need the mental support as a basis for bodhicitta. And so what Shantideva is doing here is he's using this example of a very dark night. So it's this deep darkness, there's no moon, probably there's some stars, but even those are covered by the clouds. So you really imagine the situation like you're in complete darkness. You can't see anything. And then just for a moment comes this flash of lightning. And you can just see everything just for this brief instance. So it said our virtuous thoughts are like that flash of lightning. So sometimes they just come up in our minds. And so it says that in this dark night, the absence of the sun illustrates the absence of the compassion of the Buddhas. And I would add here, it's not that the compassion of the Buddhas is not there, but we don't have access to it, right? In this deep, dark night. So no sun, no compassion. Then the deep darkness itself refers to the ignorance of beings. Darkness is the ignorance. Then the fact that it's like the sky is covered with clouds is a symbol for the obscurations or the 3 poisons in our minds. And the lightning shows us how rare it is to have faith and to have interest in the Dharma. It doesn't happen very often, it says, in the course of our lifetimes. So now that it happened, we should really seize that opportunity. And I think to add to this image, maybe it's like if you are in this, complete darkness, but you're actually trying to find something, you're trying to get somewhere. In that moment of the lightning striking, you're just going to run for it, right? In the moment you see something, you're going to go for it. So in the same way, when we have a virtuous thought coming, when we have a wish to develop bodhicitta, seize it right away, go for it, put it into practice, do something with it. And by the way, a virtuous thought doesn't have to be like a big deal. Like it could be just a kind of like smiling at somebody. Or just having some interest in this way of the Bodhisattva. And I think we all have moments like that, right? We just maybe have an inclination of wanting to make somebody happy or doing something nice for somebody. So anytime that happens, just use the opportunity right away, jump at it. And Rengo Turko adds actually that for him, this example of the darkness really relates to our situation in samsara. He says, if you look at the world, there's lots of darkness. People don't know right from wrong, often. They don't know what is beneficial for the future of our world. They don't understand how to bring more peace and happiness into the world. So he says there's lots of darkness in that way, right? And he says on top of it, there's actually very little guidance. There's very few positive teachings. There's very few enlightened people. And then he says, even if there is guidance, we don't listen to it. We don't value it. And so, in this kind of situation, whenever somebody has a positive thought, when that lightning of kindness is kind of striking, when there is compassion, when there's concern for others, that itself is already amazing, it's useful, it's good, and we should appreciate it. And he said that is so important. And actually he says it's very important not just for ourselves to see, those, to recognize those virtuous moments in ourselves, those virtuous thoughts, but also to recognize them in others, to see the kindness, the compassion in others. Because he explains very often we have a tendency to focus on the faults of others, right? Just seeing how they're annoying us or seeing what's wrong with them, rather than seeing the moments of kindness and compassion, right? I think it's probably a kind of quite natural human tendency, right? And Rinpo Turko gives this example of people coming to a Buddhist center. And coming to a Buddhist center, they quite naturally often have this expectation to find a lot of bodhisattvas there. Because they think, well, the teachings are all about loving kindness, right? Compassion, bodhicitta. So therefore, if I come to a Buddhist center, I'm expecting everybody to be completely joyful, always nice, always kind. And then he says when they actually come there, they get the shock of their lives, right? And they might ask themselves, well, did I land in the wrong place? Is there something wrong with Google Maps? What happened? And he says that he found kind of a good answer for himself, saying that, imagine you're going to a hospital. Would you expect everybody there to be well? No, right? Of course not. But this is the same. If we come to a Buddhist center, if you come to a Buddhist Shedra maybe, of course you would want to find kindness, compassion, but you're actually going to find people that are still working on developing kindness, compassion, right? So in the same way that the patients at the hospital are not well yet, in the same way we're maybe not the perfect bodhisattvas yet. But we're here to get the treatment. We're here to work on it, right? So not to expect that everybody is well already, not to expect that everybody is super nice and kind all the time, right? But to develop appreciation for the kindness that we do see, for the compassion that we do see, and not focus on the negative qualities that we might find, right? So, to really focus on the positive. And Rinpo Turko actually says this is very important, particularly if we're living together like we are right now, right? If we're actually a community. And I love this, like whenever he goes to a Buddhist center, actually, I think, maybe not just Buddhist ones, Rinpo Turko always tells the same story, or very often at least. So you may have heard this one before, and it's a Christian story. So he says, once upon a time, there was an old monastery that only had 3 monks left. And the 3 monks were already quite old. You know the story? Yeah. still good to remind ourselves of the key points. So the monks were already quite old, and they were really concerned about keeping their monastery alive, actually. And they couldn't find anybody who was willing to become a monastic. And so at some point they heard about a wise man, a great spiritual teacher, passing through the area. So they decided to send the youngest of the 3 old monks to meet the wise man and just ask for some advice, like how can we keep this monastery alive? How can we keep it going in these difficult times? And so the youngest of the old monks goes to the wise man, describes the situation and asks for some advice. And the spiritual teacher thinks about it for a minute and he says, actually, I have nothing to give you. I have no advice for you. It's just really tough times. Like, people are not that interested in spirituality. It's like, I'm sorry, I have nothing to tell you. And so the old monk was quite sad upon hearing that. And but he traveled very far, so he decided to spend the night and then go back to his monastery the next morning. And just as he was about to leave, the wise man says to him, listen, I had a dream last night, and in the dream it became very clear to me that one of you 3 is the next Messiah. The next. Can we say Jesus? Something like that, right? And so the monk heard this. He wasn't quite sure whether it was a joke or not, but he brought it back to his monastery saying, yeah, the wise man had no advice, but he kind of made this joke. I'm not quite sure whether it was a joke, but he said that one of us could be the next Messiah. And so the 3 monks decided to take it as a joke. But then still, when they went to sleep that night, each one of them was thinking, oh, I think it must be Brother Mathieu who is the next Messiah. He's kind of very, very kind and compassionate. And then Brother Mathieu was thinking, no, it must be Brother Walter. He's so diligent in his studies. He's so amazing. It must be him, right? And Brother Walter was thinking, oh, no, it must be Brother Fionn. You know, he's always the first one up. He's always willing to help people. He must be the one. So the 3 of them started to think of each other in that way. Or possibly it could be him, you know. They just started treating each other with so much respect and kindness that the whole atmosphere in the monastery changed. And you can imagine that not so long after that, a young man came to visit the monastery, and he was so blown away by how they were with each other that he decided to stay. And sometime after, another young man joined the monastery, and slowly their community started flourishing and blossoming. It's a good story, right? And so Rinpoche, of course, adds, well, this may be the Christian version of it, but he said the Buddha himself actually said, whenever 4 of us gather together, whenever there's a sangha, so 4 is the minimum, so you can be sure that one of them is a Buddha. And it's usually, I'm adding this, it's usually the one that we don't think is the Buddha, right? So, again, sorry, the point, this is a very long story, the point of it is to really focus on the preciousness of our situation. At this point, the mama cat is joining us. So focus on the preciousness of this human birth. But also not just appreciate it in ourselves, but also appreciate it in others, right? See the kindness in ourselves, see the kindness in others. So by the way, one of the beginning prayers that I'm doing, or that we're asked to do as teachers, is to invite all beings into the teaching. So if Mama Cat joins us, then that's just because we called her, right? It's good. All right. So the mind as a basis for bodhicitta is where we're at. So then let's have a look at page 46 in your commentary. So third line, it says, therefore, if the state of mind of actually wanting to accomplish something good occurs to you, you should be like a blind man who has managed to catch hold of a cow's tail. You should resolve never to lose it, but develop it more and more. Don't ask your father, don't discuss it with your mother, don't let others decide for you. Just make up your own mind, be independent. Do not give yourself over to others. Be like a yak with its nose rope tied around its own head. You get that image? Like generally here, like
46.
yes, page 46. Generally here, like I don't think we have yaks here, but water buffaloes we have, right? And they have a ring through the nose.
Yeah.
And the farmers will lead the water buffalo by pulling that string.
Yeah.
So if the water buffalo has his string wrapped around his own head, he can go wherever the hell he wants. So be like that, right?
Yeah.
Don't let others lead you. Like you're deciding for yourself now. You're gonna accomplish something good. So leave your enemies to their own devices. Let your fields dry up. Practice earnestly instead. And what do we practice? The 10 innermost riches of the Kadampa masters of old, and the famous 3 fierce mantras of the Dharma Lord Tsampagyare. So tell yourself, I will truly practice sacred Dharma, and once the pledge is taken, it must be fulfilled. This is like we said before, like once a holy person, like Shantideva makes a pledge, no going back. They will just go for it 100%. So the 10 innermost riches, it says here, are the 3 actions of leaving, seeking, and obtaining, the 4 objectives, and the 3 vajras. So the 3 actions are to leave the fellowship of humans, to seek the fellowship of dogs, should be easy enough here, and to obtain the fellowship of the enlightened. That might be a bit more tricky. The 4 objectives are to turn your mind to the Dharma, to turn your Dharma to the condition of a beggar, to orient your beggarly condition toward your death, and to aim to die in a lonely cave. There's no dying during Shedra, okay? Regarding the 3 vajas, you start with the vajra of no procrastination, you conclude with the vajra of no need to be ashamed, and you take as your companion the vajra of primordial wisdom. And then the 3 fierce mantras are, whatever has to happen, let it happen. Whatever the situation is, it's fine, and I really don't need anything. So I think this is one of the cases, again, where we're leaving behind the world of sutra and we're entering something a little bit different. I'm not going to say too much about this, but like just, I don't know, let that resonate. See what you want to do with that. Maybe just to show you, I mean, I've studied this text a couple of times, but this page has like highlights right, left, and center of exclamation marks, all sorts of things. I found these 3 fierce mantras something that stayed with me. It just stayed. So tomorrow when you have a freezing shower, whatever has to happen, let it happen. Whatever the situation is, it's fine, and I really don't need anything. Let's see what happens with your minds then. Okay, so this was the mental, the mind as a basis for bodhicitta, and we continue with the benefits of bodhicitta. This is divided into 3. General benefits, specific benefits of aspiration and action, and then the greatness of a person who possesses bodhicitta. So we start with the benefits in general. It has 4 parts. How bodhicitta is superior to all other virtues, a change of name and status, then the benefits shown by means of example, and the benefits shown in other texts. So starting with how bodhicitta is superior to all other virtues, and this is verse 6. Virtue thus is weak, and always evil is of great and overwhelming strength. Except for perfect bodhicitta, what other virtue is there that can lay it low? This is very similar to what was said before. There's just many types of virtue that we can cultivate on the path, right? But the supreme one, the best one out of all of them is bodhicitta. And again, if we use that same example of the dark cloudless night and a flash of lightning. So our situation is that we are still within the darkness of ignorance. We maybe don't know yet what we should or shouldn't do. And maybe we have a feeble interest in the Dharma at the beginning, it says. And on top of that, our sky is still covered by clouds. So we have attachment, aversion, ignorance. So we can see a little bit, but it's not very clear yet. And then if other people come with other ideas or other views, it's said that we're very easily kind of distracted or swayed by that. And then we just give up on the whole Dharma project. But then when the sun is shining, even if the clouds are there, the place is still lit up. We can really see what's there when there is some sunlight. And so here bodhicitta is compared to that sun. And once we have bodhicitta, it makes our interest in the path much more stable. So at the moment we're still in the night, not much sunlight yet. And if we don't have bodhicitta, positive actions, virtue only occurs occasionally, like a flash of lightning. And that helps us to see a little bit, but when it's gone, it's just gone again. But when we have bodhicitta, we're going to be able to see very clearly, like we're in the full sunlight. So this is one of the benefits of bodhicitta. It helps us to see with clarity. It gives us this stability on the path. And so, going back to Pema Chodron, she says both in the verse that we did before, number 5, and this one, number 6, the initial arising of bodhicitta is described as something quite frail. Like when it first comes up, it's not very strong yet in us. And she says the Mahayana teachings tells us actually that all of our neuroses, our hang-ups, they're usually called transient, right? They do describe to likened to the clouds in the sky. So when we're having like emotional upheavals, from the perspective of the Buddhas and Bodhisattvas, they don't consider us hopeless or stupid because we have that. From the perspective of the Buddhas, our confusion, our destructive emotions, they're just like weather. It's just fleeting stuff, passing through our sky-like nature of mind. That's from the perspective of the Buddhas. But then from the perspective of ourselves, from us sentient beings, the clouds can feel really heavy, right? When we're stuck in a particular emotion, it can feel like it's never going to change again, right? So, and then we may feel like, oh, maybe I don't have what it takes yet, or we feel quite weak in that situation. So here we're kind of maybe encouraged to like not see it so much from the perspective of a sentient being when we're having the clouds arise in our minds, but to see it from the perspective of a Buddha. So whenever we have like, destructive thoughts, destructive emotions that harm ourselves come up, Pema Chodron encourage us to just tell ourselves, well, this is just the weather. It will pass. These are just some clouds passing through. This is not my fundamental state. So from Shantideva's perspective, any glimpse of a bodhicitta mind has great power, actually. And when we feel the clouds part for a moment, when we're really resting in our, true nature, I think we can feel that a little bit, how much power and strength that can actually have. And that may be inspiring for us to then keep going on the path. And so Rinpoche actually encouraged us very much when he was teaching on this, that like whenever we have moments of bodhicitta, moments of virtue, moments of kindness, to also dedicate them, to really wish that may that be of benefit to others. And to aspire, may I accomplish this bodhicitta, may I realize the preciousness of my human birth. And to do that again and again. Okay, so let's take a short break and we continue in 5 minutes.
Yeah, you mind looking for that first, yeah. It's okay, you look after yourself. Think about that cheetah, think about how you cheetahs are, yeah.
Change the shoes. That's because I'm on the chair, you know, my feet are on the
And that too, yes. I listened to it, actually, it just made me think about the questions that people having to be repeated. I listened to Friday's teaching. It was very soft and I had to amplify it using Audacity.
What was this result?
From YouTube.
From YouTube?
Yeah, the audio was very soft.
Okay.
So maybe you get OBS to push it a little bit. Yeah, how would you use it? I had to rip the audio and then amplify it.
Oh yeah, because I did minus decibels. So. Yeah. Is it the right color of turquoise?
Oh my god. I was like wondering what is happening. I got some turquoise fabric.
I bought some from
If you
the
don't
other
know
day.
yet, my favorite color is turquoise. So actually we hid the chair, which is underneath is like also turquoise. I feel like a blouse coming my way or something.
A what?
A blouse,
What is it now?
a top.
Oh,
Thank you so much.
it was 5 we drove that because I thought it.
Really? They're good.
I think it's for colours.
I'm curious what you're going to manifest as then.
I will make a sash
All right.
and
Yeah.
so I have like the sash going in the
Yeah.
right and the shoulder
Yeah.
over top. Going
Yeah.
in the left.
Going to be like for special occasions.
See, our Tuesday.
Well, we are supposed to celebrate preciousness, so any day is a special occasion, I guess.
But I think that will be my. I will start wearing a rosa.
Yeah.
Because it didn't,
That's a good idea for the new year. We lost Irma?
Yeah, she just needs to go to the toilet.
Oh yeah, that's important.
We were helping the Diddy with putting up the clothes on the line.
Aw. She couldn't reach.
She couldn't reach the lines.
Look, a virtue's thought occurred and you went for it. Good job.
Held the line. She was putting the clothes. And then Irma needed to go to the loo.
Very good.
So.
That's a good idea, yes. The more you wash it, the more it will be soft. The same guy. But it's 100% silk, rough silk. Then when you wash it, it's smooth. It's smooth.
It's a really nice color.
Nico has the same, like, red.
Mm.
But red.
It's
Red,
very
red.
Yeah. But red. You need courage to wear it.
He definitely has that.
For me, the red is haunting me at the moment. Like, I don't usually choose red, but like my sister went shopping with me and ended up with a bright red dress. I have a red shop. I don't know. It's like I don't choose it; it just comes to me.
Comes to you.
Yeah. Your coat? Coat is a good idea. Protect this precious human body, Irma. We need it. Very good. So we've seen the benefits of bodhicitta, looking how bodhicitta is superior to all other virtues. We saw verse 6, and now we continue with verse 7, where it says, "For many eons, deeply pondering, the mighty sages saw its benefits, whereby unnumbered multitudes are brought with ease to supreme joy." So it said that the Buddhas, for 3 countless kalpas, 3 countless eons, they worked continuously for the benefit of all beings. They only thought of the benefit of beings. And they saw that bodhicitta is the best, the most direct and the strongest method to accomplish the following: purify the negative deeds of the past, cut off any reoccurrence of the negative deeds in the future. So purify past deeds, cut off the reoccurrence of negative deeds in the future, counteract the mind poisons, so counteract the destructive emotions, and fourth, it increases the strength of small positive deeds. And with all of that, it will bring us to enlightenment. And only bodhicitta does it. So this is why Buddha said that bodhicitta is superior to all other virtues. I had a double shot cappuccino this morning. Am I too fast?
No.
Okay, all right. Yes.
That's enough.
Okay.
Not very quickly.
All right. So bodhicitta is superior to all virtues. Tsiga Kondromutje adds here that a simple virtuous thought, such as wanting to give somebody a glass of water, without a mindset of bodhicitta, is a virtuous action, and it may have a small effect. But if you do it with the mind of bodhicitta, with the attitude of a bodhisattva, that small effect can be multiplied into a great action. Why? Because the mindset of bodhicitta is the only mindset that wishes to liberate all sentient beings from samsara, to liberate them from suffering, and to give them not only mundane happiness, but ultimate happiness. And so he really encourages us that no matter what we do, even like small things, we should embrace it with that mindset of bodhicitta, with that wish. Because then it will have that vast benefit. That's the point. So then, verse 8. Those who wish to crush the many sorrows of existence, who wish to quell the pain of living beings, who wish to have experience of a myriad joys, should never turn away from bodhicitta. This verse, it has like such a kind of short explanation in Khenpo Kumbha, but I really think it's there's something quite profound in it. So if we think about it, or if, I mean, you probably know this, like, how do you say this? Where does our suffering come from?
Ignorance?
Ignorance. Ignorance. Like, yes, that's not the only answer. Ignorance, what else?
Self-grasping.
That's already going to the roots, self-grasping, good. So suffering comes from things like ignorance, comes from attachment, aversion, destructive emotions, destructive actions, right? Then where do these destructive emotions come from? You already said it? Self-grasping. So this is the thing that we need to examine for ourselves. We suffer because we act in a way that is destructive to ourselves and others. We act in that way because we're driven by our destructive emotions. Where do the destructive emotions come from? From holding on, grasping to the self, right? So grasping at the self has done us no good so far. It's only created suffering. And so Ringo Turko says here, like, if we want to understand this, we could like look at a couple of James Bond movies or maybe some Western, where like James Bond, apparently it happens quite often that you have somebody who's like seeking world domination, right? But then he says, if you examine that situation, even if you succeed in conquering the world, you're gonna be making any friends that way? Probably not, right? You got to create a lot of enemies in the first place. You're going to be constantly worried that they're going to take back the world. You're going to be not very happy. You're going to be stressed. You're going to be paranoid. You're going to be creating all sorts of pain and difficulties for yourself, actually, with this idea of me, and it's my world, right? And Rinpoche says there's plenty of Westerns where they're all setting out to find the gold, and then they kill each other in the process, and in the end everybody's dead and nobody's got the gold. And this is again this motivation of like me, right? So what this verse 8 is telling us, like, that attitude is not going to help us, is not going to bring us happiness. So what would be the opposite of me? Us, right? Exactly. Us is actually good. Like starting to understand that there's not me and you, but there's us. That's a good way of saying it, actually, yeah. Like, what's this quote? Awakening from the illusion of separateness, right? So really starting to see when I'm not in competition with others, when it's not about me first, then I'm going to be making friends. I'm going to be enjoying the company of others. I'm going to bring about happiness for myself. And here it's not just temporary happiness. Actually, this kind of attitude, wanting to benefit each other, wanting to bring others to that ultimate state of enlightenment, will bring us ultimate happiness. So that's the kind of, I think, beautiful logic that's described here. It's like, just look at your situation, like, this one has not worked for us, the me. So let's go into us, and see what that does for us. And that's kind of showing again, bodhicitta is superior to all other virtues if we have that mindset, if we have that openness of heart that includes all others. Okay? So then we come to the next part in our subject, which is a change of name and status. And this is verse 9. Should bodhicitta come to birth in those who suffer, chained in prisons of samsara, in that instant they are called the children of the blissful one, revered by all the world, by gods and humankind. So maybe first thing to say here is the Buddha, while he was teaching at his time, he actually said that generating bodhicitta is something that anybody can do. It doesn't matter if you're a man or a woman, it doesn't matter how old you are, it doesn't matter what position you hold in society. Anybody can do this. And at that time, this was like a shocking, revolutionary statement that this is a possibility for everyone. And those who do generate bodhicitta, which is possible for all of us, they become, as it's called here, the heirs of the victorious ones. So our name changes, our status changes. We become a bodhisattva, a child of the Buddhas. So child of the Buddhas, it's a new name for us, right? Then our status, our purpose changes. Because as bodhisattvas, we're not just thinking of ourselves anymore, we're thinking of all others, right? Of all beings. So our status changes in that way, or our purpose. So we don't just get a new name, but we also have a new attitude. And the kind of traditional example is of a robber becoming a king. So the moment the robber becomes king, definitely he's got a new title, right? He's got a new name. He's the king. But then also what he will do will change. In the traditional story, he doesn't continue robbing, but he starts, as the king, taking care of his people. So, his purpose changes. And then as a consequence, people will start to support him. So while the robber is a robber, not much chance, I think, of him getting some help or some support or some benefit from others. But the moment he starts being king and actually taking care of others, he will be supported by others. They might even, show him respect that they didn't show him before. They might start to help him. And I think the final statement here in this section is that only when we have bodhicitta, only when we are concerned with the welfare of others, it said then the blessing of the Buddhas and Bodhisattvas can reach us. It's quite a powerful statement. So only when we have bodhicitta can the blessing of the Buddhas and Bodhisattvas reach us. Then they can help us. So again, Ringo Tukur explains here that if bodhicitta truly becomes our way of being, if it becomes our goal, our direction, our way of life, then immediately we become different. We're not so much concerned with ourselves anymore. We don't want to hurt people, but we want to make the world a better place to live in. We want everyone to enjoy that. So we no longer see me and you, we only see us. We only see all of us as part of the same family. And so in that way we become compassionate, we work for the well-being of others. And so then we are doing actually what all the Buddhas and Bodhisattvas set out to do in the past, what they've been trying all this time. We're kind of joining in their efforts. We're trying to bring happiness to everyone, just like the Buddhas and Bodhisattvas. And Ringo Tukur says, in that moment, we become a true follower of the Buddha. We become a lineage holder of the Buddha. And therefore, we will be worthy of great respect, actually, and we should be kind of worshipped. So that's our change of name and status. So then we continue with the benefits of bodhicitta and how they're shown by means of examples. So we're going to get a couple of beautiful images to help us understand the benefits of bodhicitta. And there's 5 examples. So the first one is alchemy. Alchemy being the process of turning iron into gold here. So it just very simply means that bodhicitta transforms our ordinary body into a priceless, precious body. Because with that body then, we can work for the benefit of beings. And then when we become enlightened, this body is actually the body of a Buddha. So body is transformed, alchemy. Then next is the jewel, which just shows the great worth of bodhicitta. Third is the fruit-bearing miraculous tree, which is an example to show that bodhicitta is, as a root of virtue, it's inexhaustible and it constantly increases. Then fourth is the heroic bodyguard. So if we are in a dangerous place, we don't need to have any fear when we're with our courageous friend, the bodyguard, which is showing that bodhicitta actually overpowers all kind of, it said evil here, but like all kind of destructiveness. Bodhicitta is stronger. And then finally, the 5th example is that at the fires at the end of time, again showing that bodhicitta can eradicate everything negative, everything destructive. So then to look at them more closely, the first one is related to verse 10. For like the supreme substance of the alchemist, it takes our impure flesh and makes of it the body of a Buddha, jewel beyond all price. Such is bodhicitta, let us grasp it firmly. So, alchemy, or I think it's called the Philosopher's Stone, right, in English? Yeah, Philosopher's Stone. The thing that can turn, here it's like it can turn iron into gold. And bodhicitta is said to be like that, in the sense that it can transform our body, which is considered impure in some traditions. In some of the basic jhana teachings, it's considered impure. So it can turn that impure body into something that is very precious. Because in the Mahayana tradition, by means of bodhicitta, we accomplish the welfare of beings. And so the body helps us bring everybody to enlightenment. So it's not something impure at all. And in the end, actually, that body becomes an enlightened body. It will be the body of a Buddha with all of the qualities of such a body. So Shantideva is basically saying the very body that we have now in this lifetime can become or will become like a priceless jewel. How does it become that? It's like because we make this promise to use our body in order to help beings. We use it in order to work on ourselves, to develop the capacity and the knowledge and the wisdom so that we can actually be of benefit. So therefore, just our intention or motivation of bodhicitta transforms the body into something priceless and precious. And so Tsiga Control adds here just very practically, this carries a big message for us. It says, hearing this is all the more reason for us to eat well, to sleep properly, to dress nicely, to not eat junk food, and really take care of ourselves on a kind of health level, because this rebirth that we have right now is priceless. And he says, if you don't have bodhicitta, then you can do whatever you want. But if you have bodhicitta, then your body is special, and you better take care of it nicely, because with this body you can do a lot of good things. It's clear, right? Okay, so then verse 11, the example of the jewel. Since the boundless wisdom of the only guide of beings perfectly examined and perceived its priceless worth, those who wish to leave this state of wandering should hold well to this precious bodhicitta. So this is a very traditional example of going to a jewel island. And you need somebody that knows how to get there and who knows about different stones and who can help you find the best one. And it's said to be the same for us on the path. The person who knows all these things, who can actually give us this precious gem and help us accomplish our wishes in that way, is the Buddha. He is the one that knows how to do it. And so the Buddha, with his boundless wisdom, examined all the teachings, and he saw that bodhicitta is actually super beneficial, right? It's more precious than any other teaching because it is the thing that will bring us to enlightenment. So we need to take great care of this jewel. We need to take care of bodhicitta and really try to preserve and enhance it, is the message here. So that's the example of the jewel. Then verse 12, the example of the miraculous fruit-bearing tree. All other virtues, like the plantain tree, produce their fruit, but then their force is spent. Alone the marvelous tree of bodhicitta constantly bears fruit and grows unceasingly. Is a plantain is like a banana, is it?
It's like
It's like a bigger banana.
It's a big banana?
Yeah, yeah.
But you cook savory food.
Oh, like savory kind of banana. Okay, good.
It's a little bit sweet. It's not sweet.
All right, so that's the tree we're talking about here. Is it tasty?
Yeah, it's really nice.
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay. Apparently, this plantain tree bears fruit once and then dies. True.
It keeps growing actually, but it never bears again.
It never bears fruit again. Oh, I see. Okay. So, bears fruit once and then that's it. But this perfectly miraculous fruit-bearing tree that we're talking about here bears enormous fruit every day. So, in the same way, ordinary virtues, so ordinary positive things that we do that are not embraced by bodhicitta, bear fruit once, ripen once, like the plantain tree. So like a good deed may lead us to a higher rebirth, but that's it. Then it's exhausted. Whereas if we do something positive and embrace that positive action by bodhicitta, then that action, just that one, will continue bearing fruit until we reach enlightenment. So whatever virtue is done, if it's embraced by bodhicitta, it will carry us to enlightenment and will make it easy, it's said here, to reach enlightenment. So in that way, positive deed embraced with bodhicitta is like a wish-fulfilling tree. So how does that work? It's like if we dedicate that deed for all others, not just for ourselves, then it continues giving fruit. It continues to benefit all beings. So the result is never finished. It becomes inexhaustible and it will continue to grow. It's like ever increasing. And so this becomes important when we think about the size of our actions. So something very small, like we said before, right? Helping the Didi putting washing on the washing line, if we embrace that by bodhicitta, or like offering somebody a glass of water, then that positive energy isn't limited by the size of our action, and it isn't limited by the length of time of our action, because we embrace it with that limitless, vast motivation, right? That's the deciding factor of the benefit. So the positive energy is then no longer limited by the size of action or by the length of time that we practice the action. This is what bodhicitta does. Did that make sense? Okay. All right, 2 more. Then we've made it for the day. So the example of the heroic bodyguard, verse 13. As though they passed through perils guarded by a hero, even those weighed down with dreadful wickedness will instantly be freed through having bodhicitta. Why do those who fear their sins not have, is it recourse? Recourse to it. Okay, here the bodyguard. It's going to get a little bit bloody now. So the kind of old example is that imagine you've killed somebody's father. When you go to see that person, you might be afraid that they will want to kill you in return. So, but if you go with a bodyguard, there's no need to be afraid. Wonderful, no?
Yeah.
Great lesson, yes. The point here is, with bodhicitta, whatever negative actions we've accumulated, even the most negative ones, the ones that are called the immediate retribution, right? We will instantly be freed from the consequence, which will be suffering in hell, if we develop bodhicitta. You know the actions of immediate retribution? Can you give me an example?
Killing your parents.
Killing your parents, top of the list, yeah. What else?
Killing a Buddha.
Killing a Buddha, yeah. Or drawing the blood even of a Buddha. Yeah.
And does a mosquito count?
Does a mosquito count? You better pray that's not a Buddha.
No, when you draw the blood of the Buddha.
Do you think there might be negative consequences for the mosquito if it bites a Buddha? I see. We should be worrying about our own actions, not that of the mosquito for the moment. So immediate retribution, killing one's father or mother, right? With bad intention, here comes your mosquito, drawing the blood from a Buddha, creating schism, so a schism in the Sangha, give me another word for schism.
Like a separation.
A separation.
Or a disagreement.
Yeah, a disagreement, yeah. So these kinds of things will make you go straight to hell, basically. It's the most severe negative thing. But if we have bodhicitta, we're protected even from the consequence of something as bad as this. It's not that we won't be going to experiencing any sufferings, but it's said like we're going to be like a rubber ball bouncing down into hell and right back up. A little bit better than spending a longer period of time there, right? So this was quite an extreme explanation, but the point for us, I think, is if we feel that in our lives we've accumulated any kind of negative, destructive actions, then we should definitely put some effort into generating bodhicitta. I think that's the message here. So just try as much as we can in whatever we study, whatever we practice, to really bring out that wish to benefit sentient beings, to bring them not only temporary happiness, but ultimate happiness. And we need to really put effort into that until it becomes something natural for us. So maybe just one point to add from Tsiga Kontra Rinpoche. He says that sometimes he wishes people wouldn't... this is going to be very interesting comments on this verse. So Tsiga Kontra Rinpoche sometimes wishes that people wouldn't become Buddhists. Why? Because he feels we're running around with a lot of guilt already. And when we then become Buddhists with that habit of feeling guilty, we start thinking, oh, as a Buddhist, I shouldn't be doing this, or I should be doing that. And then we add more guilt to the one that we're already feeling. But he says we need to really understand the difference between regret and guilt. So, and regret is considered something positive and good, and we're going to meet it later in the text quite fully. But very simply, regret is just seeing, hey, I've done something that's not good for myself or others, and then thinking to myself, hey, I'm not going to do that again. As simple as that. But with guilt, we kind of have a tendency to keep on thinking, oh my God, this was really bad, this was not good. And we might still end up doing it anyway. So he says, Tsiga says, now as practitioners, as bodhisattvas, we need to know that we're not expected to be perfect from the beginning. We are going to make countless mistakes on this path. And so we need to keep bodhicitta as the hero who guards us all the time. We need to bring out bodhicitta at least once a day, he says. And that will protect us from all sorts of negative consequences of the past. And he says, if we get stuck in guilt, if we think only about, oh, I've broken the rules of being a good Buddhist, then we have not yet understood what is being said here about bodhicitta and how it can protect us. Did that make sense? Okay. All right, last one for today, which is verse 14, the example of the fires at the end of time. Just as by the fire that will destroy the world, great sins are surely and at once consumed by it, its benefits are thus unbounded, as the wise and loving Lord explained to Sudana. So, have you heard of the fires at the end of time? So it said that the world that we live in is going to be destroyed by 7 fires, and then by water, and then by wind. And so if we take an ordinary fire, like little bonfire, it said that a sandalwood fire burns 7 times hotter or stronger than a regular bonfire. And then there's a special kind of sandalwood that burns 7 times stronger than regular sandalwood. And then the fires at the end of time are again 7 times hotter than the special kind of sandalwood. So it burns everything instantly. Super hot, basically. And bodhicitta is compared to just exactly that most hottest of fires, because in one instant of true bodhicitta, we can destroy all sorts of negativity. It's pretty good, no? So I think hopefully what's happening is hearing all the examples, hearing the benefits. Ideally, we get a little bit enthusiastic about developing this mindset of bodhicitta, this heart of bodhicitta. Okay, so, and if that's the case, then we've accumulated some merit. And if we accumulated some merit, we don't want this to go to waste, right? So let's dedicate. Through this merit, beings attain the omniscient state of enlightenment and conquer the enemy of faults and illusion. May they all be liberated from this ocean of samsara and from its pounding waves of birth, old age, sickness, and death. Just as the Bodhisattva Manjushri obtained omniscience, and Samantabhadra too, all these merits now I dedicate to train and follow in their footsteps the victorious Buddhas of past, present, and future. Praise dedication is supreme. So now I too dedicate all these sources of merit of mine for all beings to perfect good actions. This King of aspirations bring about the supreme aim and benefit of all infinite sentient beings. May they perfect what is described in this holy prayer uttered by Samantabhadra. May the lower realms be entirely emptied. So you noticed that that was a slightly different translation or something added to the end of the dedication. Before we leave, can we just have a quick look at the root verses, please? I just want to kind of point out the most important ones in chapter 1 to you, okay? So if you wanted to memorize all of them, that would be brilliant. If you wanted to memorize a little bit less, here are the key ones. Okay, I think I'm going to have to give you 2 variations of that. Okay, the very, very most important would be number 2, number 4, 5, 15 and 16. 28. Okay, that was the most crucial. Then to those you could add number 1, number 9, and 36. Yeah. Bingo. Good. And since Una, you were asking about how to memorize, what I've noticed, like, so when I started Bodhicharvatara, we got no option. I had to memorize all of them. I'm not saying that I managed, but at least I tried. So the way I did this is I recorded myself speaking the verses. And at the time I was staying in Parping, so every morning walking to Shedra, I would listen to them and recite them with my own recording. And they stuck with me for a long time. Like the first couple of verses I can still do now, even like, I don't know how many years it's been, but like a lot of years. So that worked quite well. But the one thing that kind of made everything different for me was like putting them to music. And it didn't matter what kind of song it was or what kind of melody. But I remember like memorizing a couple of verses of Longchenpa when we did the Samni Nelso, and I just happened to be listening that day to what's his name? I Did It My Way. Frank Sinatra, thank you. I don't know why I was listening to it, but anyway, I heard it, so I started humming the verses to I Did It My Way. And this is like, I don't know, 6 years ago. I cannot get them out of my head. They will be stuck in there for eternity. So this, for me, is like the best way of memorizing verses is with music or with rhythm or like anything like that. Don't worry, I will not ask you to sing, but just for yourself, it may be a skillful means to do that. Okay?
Electrical machine.
Well, dan kan ik niet putten.